5 secrets to make your garden look like a 5-star estate without the 5-figure price tag. Most people think a luxury garden is about how much money you spend on exotic species or massive hardscaping. They are wrong. A luxury garden is about the mastery of composition. It is about the way the eye travels across the space and the way the plants interact with one another. If your garden currently looks like a collection of random plants you bought on sale, you aren't looking at a landscape. You are looking at a mess. You see it in the patchy grass, the lonely bushes, and the overwhelming clutter of mismatched flowers. It looks flat. It looks unfinished. It looks cheap. But there is a blueprint to fix this. You can transform a basic backyard into a high-end sanctuary by following these 5 professional layering rules. The first rule is the vertical hierarchy. This is the foundation of every professional landscape. If your garden lacks 3 distinct heights, it will always look like a flat line. You need to think of your garden as a stage. You need your anchors. These are your tall, structured elements in the back. Think of them as the architectural bones of the space. These could be upright evergreens, tall shrubs, or even small ornamental trees. They provide the privacy and the wall that defines the boundary. Then you need your mid-range fillers. This is where the life happens. These are your bushy, colorful perennials and ornamental grasses that bridge the gap between the tall anchors and the ground. Finally, you have your ground covers. These are the carpet. They must stay low and spread wide. If you don't have this 3-tier system of tall, mid, and low, your garden is missing its depth. You must ensure that no single plant is competing for the same visual space. Once you have your heights established, you must apply the color gradient. One of the quickest ways to make a DIY garden look amateur is to buy every color in the rainbow. When you mix too many colors, you create visual noise. Your brain doesn't know where to rest, so it perceives the space as cluttered. To achieve a luxury aesthetic, you must choose a palette. Think like an interior designer. If you want a sophisticated, moody look, lean into deep purples, silver greens, and crisp whites. If you want a classic estate feel, stick to soft blush pinks, buttery yellows, and various shades of forest green. A professional secret is the 60-30-10 rule applied to nature. 60% of your garden should be your dominant base color, 30% your secondary accent, and 10% your high-impact pop color. Transition these colors as they move away from your house. Let the most intense colors be your focal points, and let the softer, more muted tones bleed into the background to create a sense of distance. Next, we address texture contrast. This is the secret weapon of high-end landscapers. If every leaf in your garden has the same shape and the same sheen, the garden will disappear into a green blur from a distance. You need to create friction for the eyes. You must pair contrasting textures. If you have a plant with broad, waxy, shiny leaves, place it next to something with feathery, delicate, and matte foliage. Think of the difference between a bold hosta and a soft, airy fern. Put something heavy next to something light. Put something structured next to something weeping. By varying the textures, you create a 3-dimensional experience. The eye can feel the different surfaces, which adds an immediate sense of richness and complexity that makes the garden look like it was designed by an architect. The 4th rule is the law of odd numbers and organic spacing. Nothing screams cheap DIY louder than a perfectly straight row of plants. It looks industrial and artificial. Nature doesn't grow in grids. To make your garden look expensive, you must break the grid. Professionals use odd numbers, groups of 3, 5, or 7. This mimics the way plants occur in the wild, while still maintaining a sense of intentionality. When you plant in groups, ensure they are spaced enough to have room to grow into one another, but close enough that they overlap slightly once they mature. You want to create a lush, overflowing look where the individual plants merge into a single, flowing mass of color and texture. Avoid the graveyard look where each plant is isolated in its own circle of dirt. The final secret is the ground cover anchor. This is the most overlooked rule in DIY landscaping. The biggest mistake you can make is leaving bare soil between your plants. Bare dirt is the quickest way to make a garden look like a work in progress. In a luxury garden, every single square inch of soil must be accounted for. You must bridge the gaps. Whether you use a low-growing creeping thyme, a dense clover, or a high-quality wood mulch, you must create a seamless carpet. This carpet binds the entire composition together. It hides the ugly parts of the garden and creates a finished, polished look. When the eye travels across the ground and sees a continuous flow of green or wood, the entire garden feels like a single, cohesive masterpiece. Look at the difference. Random planting equals cheap. Intentional layering equals luxe. One looks like a weekend chore you're still trying to finish. The other looks like a high-end investment. When you master the vertical hierarchy, the color gradient, texture contrast, odd number grouping, and the ground cover anchor, you stop gardening and start designing. You are no longer just putting plants in the dirt. You are constructing a sanctuary. Stop settling for an ordinary backyard and start building your dream landscape. If you are ready to transform your space from a mess into a masterpiece, start applying these rules today. Your garden is waiting to become extraordinary.